Welcome to Downshift. My name is Matt and I'm here with the 2024 Palisade Calligraphy, and you've seen the best and the rest of this thing, but today we're going to show you every nook and cranny of the Palisade and what makes it special. Let's get into it. Now here at the top, we're going to cover what's new for 2024. Now, you do get a new Calligraphy Night edition, which, as you might expect, blacks everything out. We don't have that here, but I'll show a picture of it on screen. You also now get dual zone front and single zone rear climate controls, and that's standard on your base SE trim now. And your XRT trim that you got last year now comes with rear window shades. And the limited trim now gets ambient lighting. So not huge changes for 2024 because, well, 2023 was the facelift, and that's where the bigger changes come, aside from a new generation. But then we'll cover what the Palisade is. Now, this is Hyundai's flagship 3-row SUV. It came out in 2018, and last year for 2023, after 5 years, it got a facelift. Now, this is twinned with the Kia Telluride, and these are far and away segment leaders pretty much from the jump. And this one that we have here today is the top calligraphy trim with all the luxe and bells and whistles. Now, what's under the hood is actually kind of interesting in 2024. You only get one engine option. That itself isn't interesting, but it is interesting that the fact is you get a 3.8 liter naturally aspirated V6. It runs on an Atkinson cycle to be a little bit more efficient, but here in the Palisade, you're going to get 291 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque. And that is strange as we head into 24 and beyond, where everything's kind of going turbo 4-cylinder and or hybrid, and I guess plug-in hybrid in the CX-90's case. But then in terms of drivetrain, you do get front-wheel drive as standard. The calligraphy top trim that we have here does add in H-track all-wheel drive, standard for that trim, and of course you can add all-wheel drive to pretty much any trim. Power will go from that engine, that V6, through an 8-speed automatic transmission, and 0 to 60 is good for just about under 7 seconds, so it's not exactly like this thing is slow. This is a whole 2 seconds faster to 60 than a Volkswagen Tiguan. And since this only comes as a naturally aspirated V6, fuel economy is probably worse than rivals, right? Well, you get about 21 mpg combined, and that's kind of the big thing now. As we mentioned, there's no hybrid option, there's no plug-in hybrid option, and there's no EV option. That being said, this thing's twin, the Telluride, has newly adapted its EV counterpart, the Kia EV9, so I would expect an EV version of the Palisade to come in the next year or two. And we'll touch on styling, and we'll keep it fairly brief. We'll cover the things that are new for this facelifted generation. The first thing is obviously you can see this grille. It's much more squared off. It's less kind of teardropped in. This running bar, this is your LED. This is more straight and geometric. And these lights right here look like they're part of the grille, but they're actually your turn signals. Your full headlight projectors are down here. So just generally a more squared off and aggressive front face. And you look on the inside of the projector here, you have this little detailing, and this is something that you're gonna see throughout this car. There's a lot of texture, a lot of little details to make it feel more upscale, more premium, and more expensive. And it's almost impossible to see from here, but you have a really, really cool color. It looks black, right? In pretty much every angle it looks black, but in direct sun, which we don't have at the moment, but I'll lay a B-roll clip, you've got this really rich, it's called robust emerald or robust green. It's a really, really cool color. I like it quite a bit. Around the side, you do have gloss painted wheel arches with 20-inch wheels. These, I think, are probably the most handsome Palisade wheels. And then around the side, you do have some chrome accenting in your kick sill. You do have some chrome window sill accenting. You do only have touch to unlock on your front door, not your rear. And this is interesting. It doesn't connect all the way. It goes into your C and D pillar. And then you do have turn signal on your side view mirror. But of course, all the way from the back, you do have full LED taillights. And the only other thing that's really changed for this facelifted generation is more squared off exhaust and lower diffuser. The rest of it, pretty much the same. And this one doesn't have it installed, but you can get a tow hitch. And what you get then is up to 5,000 pounds of towing. And then there's the trunk. It says it's kick gesture, and I'm inclined to believe them because I think I've gotten it to do it before, but I can't get it to do it this week. Anyway, you do have a power lift gate, and interestingly, we dinged the RAV4 for this. It does not have close and lock, it just has close. But with the rear seats up, the third row up, you actually have about 18 cubic feet of space. Now this is pretty good. This is more than you're gonna get in the Sequoia, this is more than you're gonna get in the Lexus GX, and this is kind of generally big for the segment, the third row here. But if you need some additional space, you do have a pretty deep underfloor storage compartment down there. And very luxuriously, the third row folds, and you don't have to hold it. It just folds automatically at the push of a button. You can use this as a grocery bag hanger, which I love. And then with the rear seats down, the third row, you're looking at about 46 cubic feet of space. But let's say you need more than that. You can drop the second row from back here as well. Then you've got about 86 cubic feet of space, and that is damn near class leading. The thing is, you can't get the second row back up, but you can get the third row back up with the touch of a button. But huge, huge cargo space. And then we'll head into the third row. Super easy. You just push this button and it mechanically whirs itself out of the way. It's not electric, which means it's fast. It's probably not going to break. And then it's nice and easy to get into the third row. Now you do have a place for 3 seat belts. I would be shocked if you got 3 people, at least 3 adults back here. Now I'm sitting, this seat is all the way back, but that has then a crap load of room. If this person scooted up to like a normal distance, I'd still have about 1 inch of room back here. So knee room isn't exactly the problem. It's not huge, but it's more higher for the segment. But you have to have your head totally leaned back to get headroom in here. You've got this cutout up here, but you have great amenities. You've got air vents back here. You've got power recline for your third row since they are powered. But this I've never seen. I've never seen in even like an X7, a GLS, or a Q7, you have 3-level heated seats in the third row. You've also got USB-C charging, cup holders. I mean, this is super, super luxurious to have this. This is the only 3-row that I know that has 3-level heated rear seats. And then checking out the second row, before we do, I just want to talk about the door card real quick. Now you have this pinstriping detailing, which you'll get in the front, and we'll talk about that more. But you also have this graining and this waving and stitching of the leather. And you get it kind of in your seats as well. I mean, this is genuinely really high quality, like really luxury grade stuff. You do have window shades, as you might expect, and you've got cup holders in the doors, not in your center console, but that means they actually work pretty well, at least for bigger things like this. You've got some storage, which is kind of small, but some additional storage here. But again, texture everywhere to convey a sense of luxury. Texture even down here and in the kick plate. I'll get in. I'm 6'1". The seat is all the way back. I have miles of knee room. I can slide, and I can also recline. But you've got pockets, pockets within pockets, pockets on the side of the seats, so storage is not going to be a problem. You've also got a dedicated climate zone. It's single zone back here, but you've got air then that comes out here, and you have heated and cooled rear seats in the back row here. Plus, of course, traditional house style outlet, a 12-volt, and some additional USB-Cs in the back of the front seats. Now this is nice, so you don't have to go all the way down here to plug in. Let's say you've got your grandma or somebody in the back who doesn't really want to bend all the way over. They can plug something in real easily right here. And before we check out the front seats, just look at the sunroof here. It's interesting. So it's a pano roof, you would say, but this front row gets a different sunroof than the back. Now this one doesn't move. It's got a shade, of course, that closes, but this then allows the front one to then go up and retract like a traditional sunroof would. So you kind of have the best of both worlds there. And also, let's just take a minute to appreciate the luxury that is the Alcantara headliner, yes, on a Hyundai. And then your front seats, of course, 2-level memory, pretty good. Maybe a third would be nice, but that's splitting hairs. Very traditional leather that continues from the back, so pretty much all the seats get the same quality of leather. You do have 3-level heated up here. You have 3-level cooled up here. You have a heated steering wheel, which only has 1 level, but still, that's pretty nice. But the thing is, now you get this ergo motion button, which is a massage seat. Now you only get it for the driver's seat. You don't get it for the passenger seat, but this is direct trickle down from Genesis. And this is actually really, really cool. Another thing, the cooled seat and heated seat gets real hot or cold real fast. So you could have like a relaxing heating on to warm up some muscles, and then you could have a massage to kind of relax any pain away. And that, with the HDAS on the highway, will make road trips very, very nice. Now I do want to just touch briefly on the interior design as a whole, because there's a couple changes from last year that continue into this year. Like one, you have a new steering wheel design. It's the 4-spoke. It definitely looks a little bit more upscale than the previous one. This, I think the first time I saw the steering wheel was on the Sonata, which is a couple years old now, but you also have this full width dash vent. Of course, the center part here isn't actually vent, but the rest of it is, and that just looks kind of nice. And that pinstriping that we saw in the back continues up in the front, along with some texture material in the center and on your door card. So it's all cohesive. The speakers, the speaker covers for your Harman Kardon look very good. And you also do have some updated graphics for your screens, which we'll talk more about later. But in your center console here, push a button, it whirs out of the way. You've got Deployable cup holders, I'm kind of about them, but they work pretty well and they hold everything that you would need them to. You do have physical climate control buttons for your temperature, your fan speed, your heated and cooled seat, etc. So it works really, really well. And just like the rear seats, there's loads of storage up here. Now, typically you would have a glove box, but would you have a knurled metal, or I guess plastic, but still looks pretty nice. You've got a very deep center console, as you might expect, with some charging in there, but you also have additional storage and charging down here. Of course, you've got door bins, and pockets, and all sorts of practical family storage things. I'm gonna push this button here. I'm gonna get my ergo motion going. Hey, I'm gonna get my ergo motion going. I want the whole body. If you listen closely, I'm not sure it'll come on the mic, but you can hear the motors and stuff whirring about in the background. But as far as technology goes, you do have a head-up display. It's dynamic, it changes with some stuff. You do have a fully digital instrument cluster. It's been slightly revised, reskinned for, I think, 2023. It looks nice, it totally works. But here's your center screen. This is the main event. Kind of typical Hyundai stuff. Easy to navigate with a glove, very responsive, not a big deal. You can get split stuff, so if you want music here and then navigation here, or flip-flopped or whatever, then you can do that. But you also still have classics like passenger talk. So when I enable this, the microphones above me are going to record my voice and then play it on the speakers into the third row, so I don't have to take my eyes off the road and then yell at my kids in the back. And go back. Another one is quiet mode. So again, this is going to kill the speakers in the back if you've got kids sleeping back there, and only play it in the front. If they're napping, that might be kind of nice. And then classic, one of my favorites, is the sound of nature. Now, lively forest is a staple where I'm from, but we now have new ones, like on a sailing ship with some marimba, city at dawn, very rom-com, experience the universe, very heady, rainy day, moment of meditation. This one is new. Maybe it's not that new, but harbingers of spring. Now, harbingers sounds like scary, but this doesn't sound scary. Anyway, pretty nice stuff in here. You also do have a 360 camera. And of course, if you go to the augmented reality view, you've got the classic white Hyundai. It's always going to be white. It's always going to be just kind of the same, but this is still pretty cool and very, very nice. The camera quality is very good. You go into drive and you've got front-facing camera that comes on. I really, really quite like this. Down in your center, you do have a wireless charger, and you will get, and I'll lay a B-roll clip over, ambient light in here, which is pretty nice. And lastly is the digital rear view mirror that you have. So if you've got stuff loaded up in the trunk, you can't see past it, you throw this on and you can see behind you. But now I want to talk about this little stalk on the steering wheel. Now this is your HDAS system, or your highway driving assist system, and it is quite good. I've always really liked Hyundai's systems here, and now for this generation, or this facelifted generation, you'll be able to auto lane change. It'll lane change for you. You flick on the indicator. You still have to have your hand on the wheel or like grazing it, but it will change lanes for you, which is kind of cool. It's maybe a little gimmicky. It's not super practical in real world application, but it is cool that they're making developments there. But another thing that I think is nice is you can now use steer assist without being in cruise control. So if you don't want to be in cruise, you want to modulate your own speed, you can still have a little bit of assistance to keep yourself in your lane. Last thing is price. Now, a Hyundai Palisade is going to start at $36,650, at least according to their website. And as tested, this thing with destination comes in at $53,650. And again, this is for the top trim with all the bells and whistles, the Alcantara headliner, all the nice stuff. It's a lot of money, but it's a lot of car. So let's grab the key and go for a drive. We'll flick it into sport mode, Sport Palisade. Ooh, I'm getting actively bolstered by my ergo motion seat. V6 thundering away. Almost 4 liters of displacement. Furious displacement. Okay, it's not slow. Like, it's a 3-row family SUV, but it is not slow. Doesn't feel underpowered. I do like having that rasp of the V6, but it's also kind of a handler. Like, it handles surprisingly well for what it is. Now, it's not a sports car, but it is a decent handler, and I just kind of like that. I can take control of the transmission, down into second, furious downshifting, rolling on power. I mean, really shouldn't be doing this all the time, but it's like kind of sporty-ish. You know, it's not like super lame or floaty. This has got a more disciplined chassis and suspension system than something like the Grand Highlander. Now, the only things that I think might be better dynamically behind the wheel are the CX-90 and the Honda Pilot. The Honda Pilot's all-wheel drive system is actually like pretty fun, and then the Mazda does Mazda things. But this, I think, strikes a great balance between kind of a little bit of fun, but still knowing what it is. Still knowing that you're gonna put kids in here, still knowing that you're gonna take road trips in here. It has to be comfortable. And I think with that, we'll go back into comfort mode. Now I can feel the bolsters kind of softening off me. And it's just nice. Now this is, I've driven a Palisade like every single year since they came out in like 2018. I was on the initial media launch. And like ever since then, I've been sold on this thing. Like my parents just got rid of their Honda Odyssey actually about a year ago, and they bought one of these. They bought the pre-facelifted one, but like in the maroon with the light interior. Like that's an ideal spec. The facelift from last year, 2023, does a couple things, gets you the new steering wheel, gets you, you know, a slight update in here with the dash vent and everything, gets you a new grille basically. But the rest of it's the same. It really kind of is. Builds power well, really refined, quiet, isolated. You know, I think we think about Mazda as like the stepping stone between economy tiers, Hondas, Toyotas, and then luxury tiers, Audis, BMWs. But to be honest, oh, there's a bunch of deer over there. But to be honest, especially in this Palisade, Hyundai's usually good at packing all the features in, all the stuff that you want. It may not be the best fit and finish, but they give you everything. But with this Palisade, in the calligraphy trim, I mean, you get genuine like micro suede headliner. The leathers are really good. Heated and cooled seats in the front, heated and cooled seats in the back, heated third row. I've never heard of that, not even on luxury cars. And now you have a massage seat. Like literally the only thing that I think you're not getting here that you would get in like a Mercedes is maybe like a heated and cooled cup holder. Like that's about it. Pretty much everything you're getting here. Now, are you getting like the Lexus leathers and like build? Maybe not quite, but my God, you're getting a lot of car here at the 55, you know, low to mid $50,000 range. And that's why I think these things hold their value so well. Great use of space. It's great on the road. It's quiet, civilized, refined, easy to drive. Visibility is great. And then you just get everything. You can just get everything. And I don't know, I'm gonna talk myself in circles just complimenting this thing, but it is just good. Now that leads me to what would I have? And I think the only place that I would really ding this car is really two places. And if you're interested, check out our best and the rest video on the channel now. But the only places that I would really ding this is having wired CarPlay, which is a small thing, and then just not having a hybrid. But the V6 here is good. If you don't care about having a hybrid, get a Palisade. Maybe take a look at a Telluride if you like the style there better, but you'll get a nicer interior package here. Generally, like, actually looks smooth. Weird, it felt like more torque came in around 4,500 RPM. Interesting. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. As I said, if you want to know more about how this compares to things like a Grand Highlander, a CX-90, and you know, our best and the rest, that's on the channel now, so check that out. But thank you to Hyundai for letting us have a go in their Palisade again, and we'll see you in the next one.